This is Shawn Cameron from Carnifex. You're watching Interview Under Fire.
All right, Scott, I want to welcome you to
Shawn.
Shawn. See,
that's all right.
Because Scott was on our show. This is going to be a part of the interview, obviously. Shawn,
right.
Shawn Cameron, dude. I just want to welcome you back to Texas, of course, and welcome to Interview Under Fire. Of course, this is the third time. I know we talked about it before the interview started. Like, this is your third or fourth time coming through Dallas, Texas. I mean,
hey.
It's really exciting because a year ago we didn't know where we would be. You know, I mean, I guess we're technically still in the pandemic. We're fresh off of it.
Yeah.
But since I spoke to your frontman Scott last year, you know, alongside an album release, right? You guys have dropped, you know, Graveside Confessions, obviously. You guys have been on this breakneck pace from one tour to the next, like I mentioned. You're steadily approaching, the band, of course, 2 decades of doing this.
No, geez.
I know we reflected a lot during the pandemic,
Yeah.
Shawn, but first question, how are you? How's the tour? And considering how crazy good and busy this last year has been for y'all, have you had the chance to like just take all this in? I mean, this was something that was stripped away from us, like I mentioned, you know, a year or two ago. So
yeah, I mean, I'm doing great. You know, we're doing good. We're excited to be back on the road. You know, be able to be back touring. You know, the lockdowns were hard. They were tough, man.
Yeah.
Because we started. Anybody who you know is following us knows that we started the lockdowns in a lot of debt because it was the day before we were supposed to start our Meta X tour with Three Teeth and the Browning and Scold. So
I remember that.
Yeah. So we all spent all our money. We had like, you know, over $40,000 in debt. So
yeah, you were telling me that before. I mean, I guess it's a nice distraction now. You know, it's.
Oh well, I mean, it's not really a distraction. It's we all, you know, the first, you know, last year when we first started touring, those first tours were, you know, we were getting out of personal debt, you know, so.
Yeah. Now, one thing, Shawn, is Carnifex is originally from the West Coast, San Diego, which one of my favorite cities in the world because it's off the Coronado Island is off the coast, which I know you've been there.
Oh yeah.
It's my favorite
it's beautiful.
place.
The bridge going across.
Have you had a chance to like go there recently? So.
I mean,
you know, here's the thing.
I don't know about Coronado Island, but I've definitely driven around, you know, San Diego.
It's the difference between being a tourist and then being someone that lives in the city, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm here in Dallas, it's like, oh yeah, have you gone to, you know, the state fair and you know things of that nature?
Yeah.
You know, it's like when you see tourists in your city, it's like, oh, you know, it's just right here. I can just go wherever I want.
Yeah.
It's a different scenario, but
it's funny. Speaking of thinking about like living in a place where people come to vacation, I didn't realize that's where I lived until I think it was 2009. We were on tour with Bleeding Through and Darkest Hour. It was Thrash and Burn Europe. Man. We were in Barcelona, and I went down to there like on the Barcelona pier.
Yeah.
And I turned around and I looked at the beach, and I'm like, huh, it looks like home. I was like,
I mean,
it looks like where I live. Like and I was like, holy crap, people actually like vacation where I live.
Dude, I'll tell you this much. Anything,
cool.
if it comes with like vacation spots, I mean, anything that has a beach, sign me up for it.
Yeah.
You know, you're in Texas, right?
Yeah.
What do you think of when you hear the word Texas? Because I asked all my guests this question, and you know, what pops up? You know, barbecue, right? Pantera, obviously, and of course the Dallas Cowboys, the Alamo. It's like, what's the first thing that comes to your mind when you come to Texas? This is the first Texas date of this tour. So
having toured through Texas a lot, the first thing that comes through my mind is hot and humid.
I thought you were gonna say for a second. I thought you were gonna say Buc-ee's because have you been there? So,
I just bought some sweatpants there. I got a sweet Buc-ee's windbreaker.
It's really cool because like this, it's almost like a museum now. Especially, it's really
amazing.
Cool. It's funnier when bands from overseas come tour and they're just like, they ask me, where's Buc-ee's? You know, and before we even do the interview. That's what the best part is.
Amazing.
When someone comes to San Diego, what's the one thing that something like Buc-ee's? I wonder
San Diego.
Yeah. What is
I
there
mean,
anything Buc-ee's-esque? It's something like San Diego.
It would be, I guess, the beaches.
Okay.
You know, San Diego beaches, or
I mean, of course, the Comic-Con. That's. Have you been?
I don't go to the Comic-Con.
Yeah.
I mean, I live about 45 minutes north of San Diego, and there's traffic because up there too.
Oh yeah.
It's just like you can tell when it's happening because there's just traffic everywhere.
Yeah, I think when it comes to traffic, I think at this point, if you can handle, I feel like West Coast traffic, you can handle pretty much any traffic at this point. Now, bro, we have to get to, this is a big tour, and I want to talk about this because the Dead in My Arms, right?
Hold on one second.
Yeah.
A Bucky story.
Yes,
Our last on Chaos and Carnage, our sound engineer, he's from Portugal.
Yeah.
So when we took him to Bucky's, his mind was blown.
What's his name?
His name is Mello.
Hey, shout out to Mello.
Yeah, Mello. He's doing sound for us in Europe this next tour.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, we took him, and even describing the place, he couldn't even understand how just ridiculously huge and amazing it was. Like the bathrooms are always pristine. Each stall is its own
it's
enclosed.
It's like you don't even want to leave the bathroom, right?
It's enclosed. Like you close the door and like you're not like sharing. You can't see other people's feet.
Yeah.
So he like ended up getting like a little like fisherman's hat, like sweats. Like he spent so much money. It was so funny.
Shout out to Mello.
Yeah, Mello rules. But yeah, that was fun.
Are you guys stopping by Portugal on the Europe tour?
No,
I was
we don't
gonna
go.
say if he gets you guys back, like, all right, let me show y'all what we can.
Yeah, there's very few instances where, unfortunately, where we get to get out to Portugal. But we have played there, I think, twice.
I can just imagine you like putting Mello in the van, blindfolding him. It's like, all right, get ready for this. And then
He'd be like, what is this place?
I feel like that's how you should do a Buc-ee's trip for someone who hasn't heard of that place before.
Yeah, you go at 2 a.m. There's like brisket sandwiches still like being made.
If anyone is hearing us, I mean, Buc-ee's sponsor Interview Under Fire at this point because everyone is loving.
There's like 60 gas pumps on each side of the place.
Did you try the hot fudge yet? We've been on Buc-ee's for
hot fudge.
Like 10 minutes.
What?
They have homemade hot fudge.
Yeah.
So next,
all right.
hey, you're in Texas for at least another few days.
All right. Well.
Just saying. Now this 15-year anniversary tour, right? For Dead in My Arms.
Hell yeah.
Probably one of my. That's actually the entrance for Carnifex for me.
Awesome.
This album. Shawn, this is a dedication to, of course, Carnifex's first album back in '07.
Yeah.
Before leaving on a tour, of this magnitude, I feel like. Now, this is from my perspective. We've seen a lot of bands do these anniversary tours for certain albums, right?
Yeah.
You guys are doing it for this one. I feel like anniversary tours give albums a sense of, I don't know, like a closure in a way. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Like, what do you think about when you think about an anniversary tour?
I actually haven't thought about it being, I guess, a closure. I don't know, because I feel like it's more of a celebration of the album.
Yeah.
Because, if it's the first album you've heard, it's usually super, super special, because like
for me it was.
For example, our least favorite album is The Disease and the Poison.
Oh, okay.
So every time somebody says, "Oh my God, it's our favorite album," I'm just like, a little part of me dies inside, but also I realize I started asking like, was that the first album you heard? And it's usually yes. The answer is usually that.
Shawn,
yes,
real quick, when someone tells you something like that, do you actually go back and listen to that album? It's like, what did I do?
I mean, me being the drummer and I do like all the backing tracks and click tracks and stuff.
Yeah.
I listen to these albums a lot actually. So I've actually recently, during the pandemic, we went back and tabbed out all the songs like off this album, off The Disease and the Poison, off Hell Chose Me.
Man.
We tabbed them all out. I actually put The Disease and the Poison to a whole click track too, just to.
Bro.
There's some parts that like there's tempo changes and there's stupid tempo changes because we didn't know what we were doing, and the engineer we were using didn't really have skin in the game, so they just did whatever they thought was right. So anyway, but there's like some tempo changes that I wish we could fix, and if we played that album live, I would fix them.
Which is cool because you guys are performing them live, so it could be a whole different form of art when you're performing the live as opposed to Man, remember when we're in the studio?
Yeah.
When I was playing a song like these thoughts become cages, something like that.
Yeah.
And it's different
like,
in the live setting.
For example, the Dead in My Arms.
Yeah.
We didn't record it to a click track at all. I mean, obviously, if you listen to the album, you can tell it's not recorded to a click track. So
that doesn't even, it's funny because growing up, that doesn't even bother me anymore about the click tracks. It's just a good fucking song.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about. Having said that, I mentioned these thoughts became cages, right?
Yeah.
But then, Lie to My Face also, and My Heart in Atrophy. Does it take you mentally back to a certain time in your life when you wrote it? You're about to play it live tonight.
It does. I can actually, when I play these songs, I can actually picture being in the actual rehearsal room where we practice them before we even record them.
Does that room still exist?
What?
Does that room still exist? That rehearsal room?
Somewhere.
Okay.
It does. I mean, it was.
Okay.
I can picture the places we have rehearsed.
It's special because it's the first album. You think of things like that. It's like remember this at that time in my life.
and the setting and like the fact that we had like a PA, but I'd run my kick drum through an 810 cabinet and a bass amp, so it'd be all like boomy. And we also ran the 808 through that same cab, so we had that as well. So it was like,
dude, do you? I mean, what is it? 10 or so years ago, 07.
Yeah.
Was that around? That's before cell phones. I feel like. No, still cell phones.
It was before. It was like before camera phones.
Was that before the
really.
Razor?
It was before camera phones, really.
Man, okay.
Like where everybody had it was before like video camera phones, like where you could like videotape something and directly put it on the internet.
Yeah.
It was like way harder to do that back then. So.
And of course, albums that were written, 10 or so years ago.
Yeah.
When I'm being in retrospect, right?
Yeah.
I feel like when you write an album 10 or so something years ago, you may not be the same exact person who wrote them as the person who's standing before me right now.
No, definitely not.
Is that wild to think about? You're playing the riffs that you're playing, and it's just like, man, now I'm playing. You guys are bringing with these bands tonight, right?
Yeah.
You guys are bringing a whole new set of fans who may not even heard these songs before.
Yeah.
And you're playing them in a whole different version of you that maybe a different version of you now than you were in 2007. So, I always like to ask questions like that because it really shows the growth in a band's musicality, like Carnifex, especially for someone like me who's been around since you guys have taken the stage.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, we're all pretty different from when we were, wrote that album.
Yeah.
And it's funny, all these bands tonight, we can hear this first album's influence in their music. So
now, having said
cool.
that, Spite, Oceano, Left to Suffer, Crown Magnetar. I mean, tell me what have you seen from these guys on this tour? We're at the end of the tour now.
Yeah.
How has the reception been? I mean, I feel like they're bringing in also.
Oh, they all have their own fans, their own draw. Like, they're great bands. They kill it live,
Yeah.
They sound great. They're heavy as fuck. So,
and I also want to talk about.
It's been really good. Like,
yeah, I mean, I can't wait to see the crowd's going to be coming in later on tonight also with the traffic. But I want to ask about Neil Timon really quick because Neil was on our show 4 years ago, actually on this day. I'm not kidding. October 25th, 2018, with Devil Driver.
Yeah.
When they were here with Ginger. Okay. And Ginger was actually my first ever interview, and then Neil Timon was right after them.
All right.
Neil's a great guy. I mean, speaking to him, when did he become a member of the band? Did you guys know him prior to that? I gotta ask about that because I feel like that you guys are now such a well-rounded lineup now with Neil.
Neil's amazing. He's one of the best, probably one of the best additions that we've ever had to this band. But it's funny. Let's see, Scott's wife was friends with Neil's wife, so
there you go.
That's how we met, and then they would come out to shows. I remember Neil coming out with his wife to the last show on Summer Slaughter 2019 and hanging out, and then after Jordan quit, we asked Neil to. We asked him to fill in and go with us to Europe, so we did a tour in Europe. And then right after that, he was supposed to do the Meta X tour with us, and then everything shut down.
So I think it's. I feel like this is the perfect timing.
Yeah. So I mean, we've been dancing around with them for a while, and then you know, we decided to after we did this last tour on Chaos Carnage.
Yeah. So Neil's now with the makeup with you guys now, right?
Oh yeah.
Because that's not what he's not used to that. So now it's
well, I mean, it's funny when I asked him about doing it. He's like, "Oh yeah, I'd prefer to do that anyway."
it's
I'm
like, better that way, right?
Well, perfect. Yeah.
Now, a couple more questions real quick, Shawn. I know this is an important tour for a lot of deathcore fans, including myself.
Yeah.
I mean, Carnifex, you guys being the veterans, at least from my perspective. I mean, ask anybody here that's here tonight.
Yeah.
You know, and having some real and upcoming bands like Spite and of course Oceano, Left to Suffer.
Yeah.
And from a whole movement of music. The thing is, you know, when I had Scott on last year, you know, I ask a lot of questions about the chemistry between different members between the same band in the same band, because I find those kinds of stories really interesting. Case in point with Graveside Confessions. I asked Scott about that, about how you guys really had chemistry on that. Which, I mean, that's slowly becoming one of my favorite Carnifex albums, because just the raw sounding of Graveside, it was so just, you know, to the point.
Awesome.
But in this case, I want to talk about the chemistry between the different bands that you guys have toured with. You know, this year alone, like we mentioned with the So What Festival, also Chaos and Carnage. Aside from tonight's lineup, you know, Lorna Shore, Suicide Silence, the Black Dahlia Murder. Shout out to Trevor and his family. After the Burial, you got the Europe tour with Chelsea Grin coming up.
Yeah.
Body Snatcher. What I'm trying to point out is there's a lot of history between you all, I feel like. Do you think it takes chemistry to make tours like these work? And if so, you know, what kind of chemistry do you take with you out on the road?
Yeah, I mean,
loaded question, but I feel like it's important.
It absolutely takes chemistry. You know, you gotta when you go out on a tour, you have to be thinking about what makes the whole tour look good. You know, so if you have a headliner who, for example, doesn't let support bands sell during their set, or tries to flex and restricts all the bands, like, oh, you can only have 2 or 4 items while the headliner has a bunch. It makes the whole tour look worse if you let everybody be themselves, kind of not so restrictive, and think about what makes the tour look good. Then I think the fans have a much better time, and it makes all the bands look good, as opposed to, oh, the headliner looks good.
Yeah, very good point. Now, last question here.
So,
you're on the road, right? And you're approaching the end of the tour. What are you listening to on the road, man? What's something that maybe surprised a lot of fans that Shawn Cameron, like, no one would expect? Yeah, I'm just saying, Taylor Swift's new album's out, so I don't know if that's something that's on your rotation. No judgments.
Jeez. I mean,
what are you listening to right now? That's probably the best question.
Right now, I don't even know. Most of what I listen to is what our sound engineers are playing on the PA while we set up and while we do meet and greet.
Yeah.
So I took a screen. Hold on. There's this like French a cappella band that he was playing that I asked our sound engineer.
I'll be on camera for this
about. I like screenshotted it. Where'd it go? Oh my gosh.
You're drawing a blank. It happens, right?
No, and that's why I screenshot it, because I can't remember.
A French a cappella.
Yeah. Here it is. Polo and Pan.
Is that the name of the actual band?
Polo and Pan.
The song is Canopy.
The song's Canopy.
Polo and Pan, Canopy.
Check that one out. That was actually one where Nolan played it on the PA, and I was like, what's that? That sounds good.
Well, Shawn, bro, I want to thank you so much for taking the time later to do this. The sun's set pretty quick, though, but do you have any last words for the fans out there? I mean, they're going to be seeing you on the road in Europe soon. So
yeah, I mean...
whatever you want to promote, anything.
Jeez.
Get in my arms, obviously.
I mean, get your tickets if you haven't seen our first album played in full. We're going to play it better than we recorded it, so...
And what is it? Polo and
Pan, I guess.
Polo and Pan.
Canopy, listen to
any
that song.
ideas for the next Carnifex album? I mean, Who knows? You guys have done so much already. Why not experiment even further down the road?
Yeah.
Deathcore acapella, is that even a thing? I don't think so.
I wouldn't think it would be good.
I think we should end it right there. Everyone, this is Shawn Cameron.
Right.
Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart, dude. Much love, dude. Thank you again.
Also, if you need to pick up merch, indiemerchstore.com/Carnifex. You can pick us up there. If you're in Europe, we're on Empiricon. So, check us out.
Awesome, bro.